We're going to talk about a little nuance in measuring pressure with a standard pressure gauge. So I have one for my bike tire. Here's the stem of my bike tire, and I hook it up, and it's a little round dial, so it reads numbers. That was really bad, but that's a dial, and it's reading some number. And so I might read it at 30 psi here in America. What am I actually reading? Is that the pressure? Is the pressure inside the tube 30 psi? And the answer is no. It's actually a heck of a lot more than 30 psi. And let's look at ourselves to see the difference. We know that atmospheric pressure is pretty darn strong, and we're feeling it constantly. We're feeling it constantly, and that pressure is pushing in on us all the time. We don't notice anything because we're also equilibrated with it. Inside, all our blood, all our fluids inside are all equilibrated to that same pressure pushing outward. So we don't notice this excessive or this extreme pressure, which over the surface area of your body, it's the equivalent of having about 10,000 kilograms pressed against you. It's a lot. But since we're having the same amount pushing outward, we don't notice anything. The same thing is happening on the bike tire, which I'll just symbolize as this box. There is a pressure in here that is going to be the pressure we read plus 1 atmosphere. Or, sorry, 1 atmosphere. Clean that up. 1 atmosphere. So we're going to read this pressure and on the gauge, and we'll put a little G there. That's really what it is. So there's a true pressure in here. That's the pressure that's inside that tank. But we're going to read this gauge pressure plus, or the gauge pressure only notices the difference between the two because it's being pushed on by an atmosphere. The tire's being pushed on by an atmosphere, and so it only notices the difference. So we have to be very careful to note that the true pressure of a container that we're using measuring some sort of pressure gauge is going to be equal to the gauge pressure plus 1 atmosphere. Okay? Or in other words, we should recognize that when we're reading, when we're reading a pressure gauge, that's going to be the true pressure minus 1 atmosphere. It's just the difference between the two. Okay, so that's important to read. That's what gauge pressure is defined as, and it's because it's equilibrated to the atmospheric pressure already.